Hey everybody, welcome back to the Unreal Engine tutorial series for the UI inventory series. We are going to continue on here. Previous video we made our item pickup log and our item banner. And then we did the banner initialize function, and then we also added the item log pickup box to our widgets to spawn as well. So in this video we're going to start the logic to run our actual banners, and we're going to do that inside our event graph. Okay, and first thing we need to do actually is we need to go to our interfaces, and we need to create a new interface. Blueprint interface, BPI underscore UI update. And we're going to use this one a couple times. Update, sure. We're going to use this a couple times in the tutorial series here. So we're going to go in here and we're going to make a new function in here called update item log. And we're going to have an input of item ID and quantity, as per usual in majority of our things here. And item ID will be name, and the quantity will be obviously an integer. Alright, let's compile. And as you know, we need to implement the event in our HUD class so we can actually use it. So we'll add BPI UI update, and we'll hit compile. We need to call that event. Well, first of all, let's go to our interfaces and implement event. So here it is. So we need a way of calling this event, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to do that with our item data. So we're going to open our components, go to our item data. We are going to, instead of destroy actor here, we're going to drag this out of here. And now we're going to, from our HUD class, update item log message. Okay, so it'll look just like this. And so that just means that we've interacted with the item, we're adding it to our inventory, and now we're going to refresh our item slot if we need to. And so basically these two things we need. So let's copy and paste those and bring them over here, and let's plug them in. Plug them in. All right, that's all done. Let's get out of item data. Let's go back to our HUD class. So we're going to do this inside a collapsed graph very similarly to what we did for item management. So we will need to drag this out, and we're going to type in s underscore and make s item slot is what we want. So just want to plug those in. Let's right click collapse to node, and then we'll just rename this shows item banner in the item log and updates as needed. That is a weird thing. We're going to get rid of those. We're going to get rid of them. Not sure why it had to do that, but it did. All right, let's plug this execute in here too, and then we'll just make sure this is on top, just like that. Perfect. All right, let's get into this graph here. Let's just put the output here just so we don't have to deal with it getting in the way all the time, and we'll just move it afterwards. Okay, we need to make a new function. And we need to call this function adds to quantity if banner already exists. Okay, we're inside this function. We need to add a item slot s item, sorry, we'll just say item slot struct is what we'll call it, and then the actual type needs to be s item slot. Alright, in there, we need to make a local variable. Let's promote this to a local variable, and we'll call it in item struct. And then we need to drag this out, and we need to break it. And we need to promote this to a local variable, this item ID. And we'll call it in item name. Finally, we're going to, big thing here we're doing. Item banner, we need to grab that and get it, and we need to get a for each loop. So we are going to check each banner to make sure that it actually is on screen for one, and if it has the same item name as the item that's coming in. Okay, so first let's right click and promote this to a local variable, and from loop body, and we'll call this current banner, because that's going to constantly change. But we want we're going to create a separate variable for banners outside this function, but we want this one to be just inside this function. All right, so we'll drag that back. Let's get a branch. First thing we need to check. Does our item ID? Sorry, do I got this backwards? You know what we didn't do? We didn't create a bunch of variables. That's why this is not working. So let's create a bunch of variables here in our HUD class, and then we're going to go into our item banners, and we're going to create a couple there too. So let's start with this one. We're going to make one called number of extra banners. That'll be an integer, and we need to make sure we change this back to a single. We'll make another one called number of visible banners. Sorry, let's add the S there. All right, actually that's all we need to do here for now. We can do the other ones later. Let's go into our banners in our widgets folder. I didn't pick up banner. We'll go into our graph. We will need to create one called item ID, which will be a name, which will be instance editable and exposed on spawn. We'll make a quantity as well for the same thing. And exposed on spawn and instance editable. Another one called is on screen, which will be a boolean. One called index, be an integer, and that's all. Compile. Let's go back to our HUD class. Now we can actually do all the stuff we need to do. So we'll drag out of here, and we will. Well, first let's compile just to get all the updated variables. Now we need get item ID. And we need to check and make sure that this item ID is empty or not. And we'll do that the same way we did that before. And another what do you call it? I think it was the use item, or sorry, it was when we were making our filled item slot. We'll make sure that that is actually empty. So we will drag that. We'll drag this out. We'll make literal name and make sure it's none. Come on, I want to select you guys. We're going to move you down. Move this down to there. All right, after that, we are going to... So if we do have an item ID that is none, that means that banner is empty. And we're going to want to add stuff to that banner. Okay, to do that, we're going to get our current banner. We're going to set item ID to be the in-item structs. And we'll split that, and that'll be the item ID that we're plugging in there. Okay, and then we're going to want to also get... Actually, what we can do, we can just delete this. I forgot we made in-item ID. There we go, in-item name. So we'll drag that there, but we do need the item struct for the next thing, which is for the quantity. Because we need to get set our quantity. Just like that. All right, after that, we're going to do a return node. And we're going to plug in current banner. So we'll get it, plug it in. We'll click on the return node. We'll get rid of that ugly one. And then we'll make another output called update. And that'll be a boolean. So in this case, we're not doing an update. We're creating a new banner. Okay, so that's going to be false. After that, out of the false branch here, the next thing we're going to check is if it does not equal none, that means there's something in that banner. And we want to check if that is the same item ID as the in name. So we're going to come out of here and we're going to get a second branch. And we're going to check if the in item name equals, plug that in down here, if that equals the current banner's item ID. Item ID. I'll plug that in, and then we'll plug this into the branch. Okay, so once again, does our current banner's item ID equal none? that means it's empty. We're going to do that. If it doesn't equal none, that means that something has been assigned to this banner. So we're going to check if our banner's current item ID equals the item name that came into this function. If it does, we're just going to double check here. We're just going to do, sorry, that's not the one we want. We just want to double check and just do like basically like a fail safe here. We're going to get our current banner. And we're going to just make sure that this is indeed valid. So we're going to right click and go convert to a validate get. And this is just going to verify that the banner is valid and like something didn't go wrong for some bizarre reason. So if it is valid, we're going to get a data table row from our in item name. Get data table row. Okay, make sure that is the item table. We need to then update the quantity. Okay, so if we're coming out of the true, that means that the item ID and the item name are the same, and this banner should be on screen already. So it should actually be just updating the number on there. Okay, so we're going to right-click and split this open. We need to get our current banner. And we need to get our quantity. Okay, and we need to add that. We need to add to our quantity for our current banner, and we'll get our in-item struct, and we will split that, and we will add the in-item struct quantity. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. If our current banner only has one apple, and then we pick up another apple, the in-item struct quantity will be one apple, so it'll add 1 to 1, and we'll get 2. Okay, and then we will drag out of current banner. I'll just get a new one here. Just keep it nice and clean. Current banner, and we're going to set quantity. We're going to come out of row found. We're going to set that quantity. Now, next we need to set the text for our current banner. Set text. So first, we need to get our text, which is item pickup text. This one here. And then we need to set text. Just like that. Let's get a format text node, and once again, we're going to format it picked up. We're going to item times number. Okay, so just make sure it's those special brackets that are right above the enter key, right beside between the P and that like slash. Okay, so picked up item, and the item name is going to go right in there. And the quantity will be right from here. Or we can even do from here to be neater. Okay. After that, we're going to return, add a return node. We will plug current banner in here. And we will check this as updates. All right. So coming out of completed, we're going to want to add a reroute node here. We're going to drag this all the way over here, and then we're going to hit a return node. So we're adding return node here, so we can plug in is not valid as well. We're going to make sure update is checked false, and we'll just plug it in here. So what this is, so anytime you're in a function and you enter a return node, the function's done. So it doesn't run any more code, even if there is more code to run. So in this case, our for each loop, there's 5 banners to check here. So if we go through the first one and we find one that says none, and it goes through the true branch and sets that item ID and sets this quantity and then hits the return node, the function's done. Okay, it doesn't run the other 4 items. So if it gets to this point completed, that means we've run through all 5 banners and none of these parameters were confirmed or true. So that means that we're not updating a banner because they're all on screen. Okay, so that's what that is going to do, and we're going to, I think that is all we need to do in this here. I'm just going to double check my notes, and I think that's it. Okay, so we won't be able to debug this too much. Oh, hey, what is happening here? Adds to quantity of blah, 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 is not writable. What? I've never had this happen before. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to create Sorry, I'm going to delete this too, this local variable. I'm just going to make one from scratch called current banner. And I'm going to call it, what is this? It's a item pickup banner reference. So item pickup banner object reference. Okay. Banner? Why won't you let me do it? Current banner with no space. There we go. Let's hit compile. So obviously they all got deleted. And they shouldn't be. Okay, let's just see if this even works. Let's set this. Let's hit compile. Okay, so for some reason this works now, even though literally it was the exact same. I don't know, Unreal does some Unreal things sometimes. We'll just drag out current banner onto all these things that say error. Oh, what? I don't want to set it. I want to get it, buddy. I want to get it. Right, so we did this, and we convert, validate, and get. And then we plug that into there, and plug not valid is into here, and current banner needs to get plugged into there. And then over here, we needed current banner here. And we put a lot of current banners out, didn't we? Good thing we made that a local variable. And current banner is here. I'm gonna hit compile and just see if there's any more errors. There is. There's one right there, the quantity. Plug that in there, hit compile. There, no more errors. And we're just going to check and make sure like these return nodes all have one. That was bizarro. I've never seen that error before. And I did this in my own project, and then I did it in another prep project completely separate, and I never had that issue, so that was super weird. Anyways, okay, so that's all we should be able to do here. Let's go back to... We can get rid of that. We can get rid of this function. We don't need that, which is a spawn either. Okay, event graph. Let's go inside here, and let's plug this function in. Okay, and we'll plug this into here. Okay, so once again, it's not going to be readily apparent that this is actually working, so we need to, first of all, just like split this up so you guys can see what I do here. First of all, we won't be able to set a debug object because our HUD class has not been created. We need to simulate first. First of all, you can see that the initialize widget is actually working. So we have our widgets here and our 2+ more items. Now we can go over and set our debug object as the HUD class because we've started simulating the game. And we are just going to watch for lines to go. So the only time it's going to update is when we pick up the meat, because there's 2 pieces of meat, and the entire purpose of this particular function is to add more to the banner if there is already a banner that exists. So we'll pick up the meat, and you'll see that it says picked up meat. We didn't have it update the image because that's going to happen in another function. So picked up meat, we can see that text works. We can see if we, we'll just start the simulation over again, and we'll just watch this nice and close. So the first one should go through the true branch and set the item name and set the quantity. So we're just going to pick up this potion, and we'll see what happens. Boom, so it did that. The next one should go false, and then it should go it should go false first, and then up the true branch, because we did find that the first one had a name of none because the potion's in there, and then the second banner that it ran discovered that it had a none. So we'll just pick up this one, and it should go false and then true. And then if we go to, they should do that for basically all of them except for the meat. Once we pick up 2 meat, it's going to run out of the false and then the true right there. So that all works perfectly. And if you want to just be double sure that everything's working perfectly, you can go into, while it's simulating, just go in here, go to your item banners, and then you can look and you can see that there's the potion in slot 1, there's the key in slot 2, there's the brick, etc., etc. So all of our items banners are actually updating correctly according to this. So you can rest assured that we did everything correctly if you see all that. So in the next video, we're going to continue on in this logic. It is quite a beefy one. So we will start right here on our next video, and I'll see you guys there. Make sure you subscribe and like, and leave a comment down if you guys had any trouble, and I will do my best to help fix it for you. Thanks, take care.